Now, from CBS News Miami, this is Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede.
Welcome to Facing South Florida. I'm Jim DeFede. One of the stories we've covered over the past 2 years has been the efforts by Ron DeSantis and the Republicans in Tallahassee to undermine unions across the state, with their main target being the teachers union here in Miami-Dade County. That effort came to a head earlier this year when a right-wing think tank, the Freedom Foundation, bankrolled an effort to try and decertify the United Teachers of Dade. But the Freedom Foundation lost, and not just by a little. United Teachers of Dade won with 83% of the vote in a special election held among teachers. Joining me now to discuss that victory as well as the state of education is the president of the United Teachers of Dade, Karla Hernandez-Mats. Karla?
Hey, Jim. How are you?
Good. Welcome. Now, I have to tell you, I believed you were going to win this vote among teachers, but with the millions of dollars that the Freedom Foundation spent campaigning against you, I didn't think it would be this large a victory. Were you surprised?
I mean, we knew we were going to win. We just didn't know it was going to be this big of a win. It was a landslide, 83%. It was a gigantic performance in terms of our union, our solidarity. And it just goes to show that people care about unions, working people and teachers. Those employees in public education want to have a contract, want to be treated with respect and have fair wages and dignity. And that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for our educators.
Well, tell me, let's stay on that a second. What do you think the message of this election was?
Well, I think there's two things. We definitely see that there's an uptick in unionism and people understanding the core principles of what unions are and what they do and how they're important for middle-class working people. But it also was a testament to the collective effort and the power of our people here in Miami-Dade. In spite of all the millions of dollars and laws that were passed that were anti-worker, people came together and they said, no, we're going to fight for what we believe in, public education, and we're going to fight for our careers. And the proof is in the 83% victory.
Now, you could argue that from the Freedom Foundation standpoint, by tying you up, by costing the time that you had to fight this, that was, in their way, their victory. That whether they were able to win or not, just tying you up in these knots was what they ultimately wanted.
Well, I think that the law is a waste of taxpayer dollars, and it is a waste of time. I mean, it is a ridiculous law that should never have been on the books. And so, it's a shame that our lawmakers have allowed to be lobbied by the Freedom Foundation and that they wrote this bill and that they're trying to attack working people. But it didn't deter from our mission. I mean, we still were able to get a contract. We ratified it. It took 6 months, but we got higher raises than expected. We were able to make sure that no premium increase in our health care. We got strong contract language. So we're working with the district. We're trying to make sure that we recruit and retain the best educators in the field because our students deserve it. And we believe that every student, every child in our community, no matter their zip code, their race, deserve access to a high quality public education. And that means that you have high quality professionals in that profession. And that's what we're doing. That's what United Teachers of Dade is about.
Now, I know when this fight began, you had been already thinking about whether or not what you want to do next. Because you've served, how many years have you been the president?
Well, I've been the president for 9 years, and I've been serving as a union officer for 12 years.
And so now that you've won this victory, is it time, are you planning on sort of leaving on a high note?
I am, and I think that we are in this wave where things are going good. The union movement is growing. Our membership, people see the value. Obviously, they voted and ratified not only for the contract, but to keep United Teachers of Dade, and we're going to keep in that momentum. But, I do think that it's good to see things for what they're worth and to be able to make decisions when you're on the top. And I do feel like I've poured my heart and soul into the union movement, and I'm very proud of the work of United Teachers of Dade.
So when you finish your term is up in when?
My term is up in May.
In May?
Yeah.
So there'll be a new president elected from the United Teachers of Dade between now and then?
There will be. There will be a new president. I am not running for re-election, and so there will be a new president for United Teachers of Dade.
Do you have any plans as to what you want to do next?
I have a lot of options, and I have some time between now and May to make a final decision. But I know that my passion is in education. My passion is in the work of making sure that working people get the dignity and respect that they deserve. So I'll keep on working and doing things for the union.
So let's talk about education. Let's talk about, you started as a teacher, you've always been a teacher, you moved into the union movement. What do you see the state of education here in Miami-Dade County and across the state. What do you think we're getting right? What do you think, what troubles you going forward?
Well, I think that in Miami-Dade, we're doing it right by investing in public education through the referendum. We've had 2 referendums that we successfully passed under my tenure as union president. Very important for the stability of Miami-Dade County Public Schools.
These are referendums that went to give additional pay to teachers, the supplemental pay.
Absolutely.
Essentially.
Yes, because we've been underfunded by our state government for so many years. I mean, we're 50th in the nation in terms of average teacher pay. The only thing that differentiates Miami-Dade from the average of the state of Florida is that we have a referendum, and so we're about national average. But it is because of the work of the union trying to ensure that when funds have not been available, that we looked for funds in other places to make it right for our teachers.
Now, Governor DeSantis would argue that under his tenure, he's given more money to education than any previous governor.
Well, I mean, being 50th in the nation, I don't think credits that. I do think that there's been a lot of culture wars, unfortunately, for public education, and our teachers and our parents and our students don't deserve that. Teachers and certainly parents want to make sure that their kids have access to high quality education, and that we fund and fully fund our schools so that we have the schools that we need, that every child deserves, and not focus on these culture wars, but really on educating the child holistically and making sure that they have what they need to be successful.
How hard is it these days to be a teacher?
I think it's a lot harder than when I started. You know, I've been a teacher now for 22 years, and I know that you know, when you think about coming into that public education or being a teacher, you think about longevity and, of course, having a family and the stability, and even having time off when your children have time off. But I think it's changed a lot. It's become very transient. We see that there's a lot of teachers that are leaving the profession within the first 5 years. It's a lot harder to keep our teachers here, especially because the cost of living in South Florida is so expensive, and because they see all these culture war attacks, the banning of the books, the restricting of you know, teacher autonomy, when they've removed curriculum that used to be taught in our schools. That's made it a profession that, although it's beautiful and it's dignified, and you know, obviously the people that are working are really, I think, they're angels in our community. It doesn't value the essence of what teachers are doing, and so a lot of our teachers are deciding to leave and do second or other professions.
We started this segment by talking about the public sector unions, particularly you know, the bills that were passed in Tallahassee that made it more difficult for unions to remain in effect, you know, raising the standards by which the 60% now have to sign up with dues. They also at the same time made it harder to collect dues. So they did everything they could to try to undermine unions. You were able to successfully fight back. There are other unions across the state that have had trouble, that have not been as successful. You know, what do you see as the future in the state of Florida of the union movement? Do you see this as, I mean, I'm not sure where union membership is across the state, across all unions, whether it's down, but it would seem to me that unions are more important than ever these days. Absolutely,
and it really is unfortunate that lawmakers, you know, politicians have decided to attack working people in this way through anti-union and anti-worker legislation. But we're seeing that things are shifting. I mean, we saw recently that there was a big win in Wisconsin where they were able to turn back Act 10, which was really what catapulted all this kind of anti-worker legislation across the country. But more importantly, I think it's interesting to hear what President-elect Donald Trump is saying. And, you know, he picked a labor secretary who's actually pro-labor. And some of the business community is not happy with that pick. And I think that it goes to show that there is an intent on thinking about the worker, about thinking about what the middle class needs. And so I think that is going to help to not only open more doors for unions, but it's going to create or continue to create this uptick in the union movement. I'm curious, you talked about Donald Trump. Obviously, he courted certain unions. He got, you know, there were certain union presidents who sort of came out and sort of sided with him. The union movement seems somewhat
I don't know, I don't think fractured is the right word, because I think the majority of unions in the country supported Kamala Harris. But we are sort of seeing that in a lot of ways, union leadership tends to be maybe more on the Democratic side, and rank and file are often more culturally conservative, which is an opening for Republicans. How do you gauge that, and what's your view on what this last election showed?
I think that what we want to always have at the forefront and make sure that we as spokespeople are portraying when we're talking to folks is that they understand that what we are advocating for are the working people. And whether it's stronger policies for public education, supporting public education, creating more resources so that students can have a strong foundation and be successful in their careers and in their future, all public sector unions, whatever their industry is, should be focusing on that, on the needs of the industry, on the needs of the workers, so that we can make things better. And
yet what we saw is the Republicans be able to package themselves as the party of working people, which was a fascinating shift for me, and Democrats being the party that was out of touch, and that Republicans, even though their big donors are all the business community, yet Donald Trump was able to package himself as being pro-worker. I'm sure, again, I guess I'm just trying to figure out, where do you think, you ran as the lieutenant governor candidate under Charlie Crist 2 years ago on the Democratic ticket. Where do Democrats go wrong?
I don't know, and I don't know that anybody really knows the answer to that question. But I think that when we're seeing a shift, and even just the rhetoric, what people are talking about, and they're paying attention to the worker and what workers need, and at least trying to talk in language that they understand to, help them understand the importance of their vote. That's what we need to keep on focusing on, and making sure that workers' voices are heard, and that regardless of who the politician is, who's in power, that those promises to workers are met, and that they fulfill those needs for the working people.
The segment that comes on after your segment, I'm interviewing Mayor Michael Joseph, the new mayor of North Miami Beach, whose mother arrived in Miami, actually on Virginia Beach Key in the 1980s on a raft from Haiti. His father came from Haiti. Sort of this American story of how families came, to this country for a better life. Your family has the same story. Tell me a little bit about that.
Look, my parents are both immigrants. They came here and they worked as hard as they could. My dad was a farm worker, and he cut sugarcane and picked tomatoes in the Everglades, and then he became a carpenter, and he's the one that taught me about the middle class and working people and having a union, because they were stealing his wages. They were doing things and treating him unfairly and taking advantage of him because of his the color of his skin, and because he was an immigrant. And so he instilled that will in me of making sure that we fight for the underdog and make sure that people have rights. And I'm really proud to be the first generation and my family to be born here, get a college education, be the leader of the largest teachers union in the southeastern United States, and then not just leading it, but doing it in such a way that has been really impactful. I mean, in the last 12 years, we have paid off any union debt. We bought a building. We passed 2 referendums. We overcame Senate Bill 286. We've passed so many contracts that have really helped to build a strong Miami-Dade County public school system, where our teachers have more dignity, more respect, and have better wages, and of course contractual rights, which is what this is about. It is about making sure that we have great educators so that our students have a great education. And I'm just so proud of the work that I've been able to do with my colleagues, with my brothers and sisters in the union movement. And so I tell everybody that if you have a union that you can join, you should join it. And you should be part of the collective power, because unions make not only the middle class better, but it makes all our communities stronger.
Karla Hernandez-Mats, I really appreciate your time and coming in, and we'll keep tabs as to what you're going to do next.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Thank you very much. Still ahead, the city of North Miami Beach did something it had never done before. We'll tell you what that is after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, one of the shortcomings of this show is that we tend not to spend a lot of time talking about municipal races. With dozens of cities across South Florida, it is hard to give them the attention they most certainly deserve. But there was a race that caught my eye. It was a runoff election in North Miami Beach where voters elected a new mayor. Michael Joseph became the city's first black mayor, and he was formally sworn in this week. A civil rights attorney, his parents came to the United States from Haiti, and I'm happy to say that he is here with us this morning. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that opportunity. Thank you.
You know, and it's, I will say, it's what's funny is when I called you, you got nervous and you sort of said, I haven't even had my first meeting yet. What did I do wrong?
I haven't had a first meeting, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the residents, the large community at large. I understand how historic my election is and just looking to do the people's work.
So let's talk about North Miami Beach. Yes. For folks who may not be as familiar with it. You know, demographically, it is a majority-minority community between Hispanic and black make up the vast majority of people in the city. Mm-hmm. But yet you're the first black mayor. You talked about the historical significance. Do you think of it in those terms?
I have to. I mean, it is what it is. But at the same time, I think like I had a coalition of the people of North Miami Beach that wanted to turn a page from, you know, the past corruption, past mismanagement, and just wanted and believed in the work that I have been accomplished since being a commissioner and now being the mayor, and really putting it on the forefront and me leading the charge with the commission. And
we should also note, elected to the commission, first Asian American on the dais.
Yes, Lynn Sue was our first Asian commissioner, and like it speaks to our diversity. North Miami Beach is a melting pot. Very proud of it, and that's where I'm raising my family. Got married at the Spanish Monastery, one of our highlights of North Miami Beach, and it is a great city to live and work and play, and we want to keep it that way.
I think one of the things that drew me to your story as well is I think it's something you had said to the Herald about, you know, this is an only in America kind of story.
To call it, Don King said it best, right? Only in America. I am the American dream story. My parents came here with nothing. Mom landed on a raft over Virginia Key Beach, historic Virginia Key Beach, and I was able to, you know, grow up in the great city of Miami, you know, with little that they had, humble circumstances, went to high school, graduated college, got my law degree from St. Thomas University. I'm local, all local, and now I am a practicing attorney and mayor of the great city of North Miami Beach.
So, you know, you sort of went through it quickly, and I want to just sort of go back. Both your parents came from Haiti. Yes. You talk about your mother arriving here. It was in the 1980s.
Yeah, a little bit before I was born. She came here in a raft. My dad was here a little bit earlier, and they came here with nothing. They came here for the American dream. They felt this place was Disney World compared to what was going on back in Haiti at the time, and they wanted to do the best for me and the rest of my siblings. And they were able to accomplish that with little what they had. My mom was a maid, worked over at Sunny Isles Beach on a bunch of hotels. One of them was the Sands Hotel, that's now the Trump Hotel, around that development. And my dad was a custodian, is a preacher, still has a church, Hope Church of the Nazarene, over on 83rd and Biscayne.
You know, I think, again, one of the things that drew me to this is, you know, twofold. One, we saw how Haitian immigrants have been vilified in this past election. We also see the continuing struggle of what's going on in Haiti. We talked a little bit. You still have family in Haiti. Yeah. As a Haitian American, as a politician, how do you process all this? One, when you're hearing what's going on in Springfield, Ohio, when you see some of the rhetoric that comes around this, and you know the story of your family, you know the story of many other families like yours who come here, struggle, but seek the American dream and prosper here. How do you view that over the past year?
I try to say on the positive side, look, America's a melting pot for a reason. Nobody except for, you can say, the Native Americans have been here since the beginning. So everybody had to come from somewhere, and you know, the Haitian Americans, at least the culture that has made me, helped make me to who I am today are the most recent group. And they've been able to prosper very well with little to no resources at the beginning, just like other groups, the Irish, the Italians. You can go back, back to as far as you can go to the 1800s. That's what the American dream is. It gives you an opportunity. It's not going to give you a handout typically, but at the same time, it gives you an opportunity to work hard, and that's what instills in me, and to believe in the positive and to have that optimistic approach. And that keeps me from really focusing on the negativity that might be attached to me because of my cultural background. I still feel that I have, like, America's giving me this opportunity to be a lawyer, to have a family, to be able to raise my family in a beautiful community like North Miami Beach. And when I hear those things, I just stay positive. It's all about being positive and staying focused. And the fact that, God gave you an opportunity, you have to rise above it and do the best with what you have at the present time.
So let's talk about the challenges in North Miami Beach, because I would imagine a lot of the challenges you face in North Miami Beach, you've been serving on the county commission or the city commission prior to that, but a lot of the challenges you face, other cities are facing.
Of course.
What are some of the big issues that you're dealing with?
Kitchen table issues, cost of living, environmental, dealing with our septic to sewer issues, flooding, economic development. All those issues are the reasons that I believe I was elected mayor, because I've had a history tackling those issues on the commission prior to, and I'm a voice for those people that want those issues to be tackled. And I've had programs and initiatives that have been very successful in alleviating some of those burdens. Now the people of North Miami Beach has put me on the leadership approach, or being the main cheerleader, as it were, as being mayor, to make sure those things are expanded and to do more with less but more effectively.
Now, I did tell you that I was going to bring up one thing that was controversial in your tenure while you were on the city commission. You and several other commissioners boycotted meetings for an extended period of time in a protest to the mayor at the time, DeFilippo, because there were allegations, later proven I think to be true, that he did not live in the city, and so therefore was not elected properly to that city. How do you address those who criticize you and said, whether you agree or not, you should still have been there to represent the people?
At the end of the day, look, nobody's above the law. I know, like, nationally that's not being as succinct as it should be, or people might have a doubt on that, but North Miami Beach, I swore to hold our charter as well as the U.S. Constitution, and it was, I made a personal decision. I had other colleagues that kind of had the same type of sentiment, to not be a participant to fraud. And I understand that people felt like business was not being taken care of, and I heard certain people saying projects. I'm not here for projects. I'm here for the residents, to make sure that I'm doing it legally and doing it in the most moral way that I can. And that's why I stood tall on it. Those same people would have said the same thing about people boycotting buses back in the 60s and 80s. Like, why are you messing with the bus system? Because at the end of the day, if it's wrong, it's wrong. And in this aspect, well, what I saw was wrong, and I didn't want to be a party to it.
What's the big issue? When you look back after your term is done, what do you hope to achieve?
I hope to achieve and get as much resources to do in septic to sewer. I think that it's an economic driver. If tackled, can really take North Miami Beach to levels that
is that more of an issue that you have to deal with the county, with the state, with the federal government?
No. Where is it? All the way down. Look, on the commission, I've been able to use certain relationships to get additional funding to alleviate some of the burden that might come from our taxpayers, our residents. I've reached out to the federal level, to our great Congresswoman Federica Wilson, who I'm a proud member of 5,000 Role Models, and I have my button right here, and I'm pretty sure she's be watching, as well as reaching out to the Governor DeSantis. Environmental issues are big issues with him. We're a coastal city, and he's been able to, through his guidance and counsel, to provide some additional resources to upgrade our water plant and get its position to apply for these certain grants that go to support septic to sewer conversions in small communities like myself.
It's a major issue. I'm dealing with it. I live in Miami Shores. We're dealing with septic to sewer, for sure.
Yes. So those are the main issues. We're focusing on North Miami Beach. I know my colleagues have others, but to me, those are legacy issues that need to be tackled ASAP.
Mayor Joseph, I really appreciate your taking the time to come in. Good luck to you, and we'll keep in touch.
And I will say thank you, merci, gracias, and shalom. And thank you for allowing me to be here with you, Jim.
Well, thank you very much.
That's a North Miami Beach response, because we are very diverse.
You are a diverse community, that is for sure. All right, we'll be right back after the break. If you have any thoughts or comments, feel free to contact me at jdefede@cbs.com. I do enjoy hearing from you. Well, that's all the time we have. We'll be back again next week. Thanks again for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.